Hi there, music lovers. This is John of hornsmasher.com. And if you're new to low brass playing, I'm here to help you get off to a great start with some basic information about how your instrument works and how you should take care of it. We're going to do this in 3 easy steps, showing the proper assembly, disassembly, and daily maintenance you should be doing on your instrument. Along the way, I'll also give you some helpful tips and show you how to avoid some common mistakes. So are you ready? Let's get to it. Although there are different types of low brass instruments, the assembly and care of them is all basically the same. The low brass instruments covered in this video will include tuba, euphonium or baritone horn, and marching low brass instruments. For our demonstration today, we'll be using a straight bell euphonium. Let's open the case and begin. When we open the case, this is not what we want to see. Items like music folios, books, or even our lunch have no place inside the case. Our case is designed to hold the instrument and the accessories only. Additional items in the case can only cause damage to the instrument by causing dents and bent tubing. This is what we should see when we open the case, and we'll begin with a description of the horn's different parts and a little information on how your instrument works. Low brass instruments have 2 primary sets of moving parts. The first are the piston valves, which are used to route the airstream through different lengths of tubing while the instrument is being played. When a valve is depressed, it redirects the airstream to pass through an additional length of tubing, which changes the pitch of the note being played. The other major moving parts on a euphonium are called the tuning slides. There are 3 used to tune the individual notes played on each valve. These slides are moved only when tuning is needed for a specific note. There is also a main tuning slide, which is used to tune the entire horn relative to other instruments. Now that we know a little more about how our low brass instrument works, let's move on to the assembly. The only assembly needed for a low brass instrument is the installation of the mouthpiece. However, there's a right and a wrong way to do this. Your mouthpiece has a tapered shank, which fits into a tapered receiver on the instrument. The mouthpiece is installed by first lining it up straight with the receiver, pushing it in gently till it stops, and then giving it a quarter turn clockwise. This is all that is needed to secure the mouthpiece. Some students make the mistake of thinking the mouthpiece needs to be tighter, and they use the palm of their hand to tap it in harder. This move can have serious consequences, causing the mouthpiece to get stuck. If your mouthpiece ever does get stuck, never try to remove it with pliers or other tools. The bracing on the lead pipe is not very strong, and you can literally tear the horn to pieces by doing this. If your mouthpiece ever does get stuck, take it to your music teacher or to a repair shop where a special mouthpiece puller can be used without damaging your instrument. Every time you play your low brass instrument, we should inspect the moving parts we talked about earlier. Start by moving your valves up and down to see if they are moving smoothly. If they seem scratchy or hard to push, it's time to lubricate the valves. Although there are many types of valve oil on the market, I highly recommend and supply the Yamaha synthetic valve oil as a part of my official hornsmasher.com low brass care kit. If you're a beginning low brass player, you should know that your valves are numbered from the mouthpiece side of the horn and are labeled valves number 1, 2, and 3. The valves are not interchangeable, meaning that you cannot put valve number 1 in the number 3 casing. If you ever try to blow the horn and cannot get any air through the horn, or it plays with a lot of resistance, it's probably because you have mixed up the valves. Because the valves are not interchangeable, you should lubricate the valves one at a time, and do not remove all 3 valves from the horn at the same time. We start by being sure that the finger buttons and valve stems are screwed down tight. We do this by turning the finger button clockwise until it stops turning. Next, we unscrew the top valve cap, turning it counterclockwise, and pull the valve straight up, taking care not to rotate the valve. We want to have the valve about halfway out, exposing the top third of the piston and the valve guide. The valve guide is what keeps the piston from rotating when it's inside the horn, and the valve guide fits into a slot inside the valve casing. This slot is called a keyway, and the valve guide will slide up and down in the keyway when the piston is in motion. To oil the valve, we simply place a few drops on the side of the piston. To reassemble the valve, we push the piston straight back down, being sure that the valve guide slides into the keyway in the casing. If the guide hits the side of the casing and will not go in, rotate the piston till it lines up with the keyway. We finish by screwing the top valve cap back on. If the cap seems to jam as you try to tighten it, it means the threads are crossing, and you could damage the threads if you keep forcing it. Unscrew the cap and start over, being sure the cap is level with the top of the valve casing. To finish the process, we simply push the piston up and down a few times to distribute the oil. We should also check all 4 tuning slides to see if they are moving smoothly. If they seem difficult to move, it's time to lubricate the slides. In my care kit, I recommend and supply the Selmer slide grease, as I feel it is the best quality product for the job. After removing the slide, we squeeze a thin bead onto each inside slide tube and distribute it around with our fingers. This stuff is a bit messy, and you should have a paper towel handy to wipe off your hands. We then work the slides in one at a time to distribute the grease around the slide. And we finish by reinstalling the slide. If necessary, we repeat the process on the other 3 slides. Well, that should about do it. We remove the mouthpiece by holding the horn in our left hand and using our right hand to turn the mouthpiece counterclockwise as we pull it straight back out of the horn. You will notice that the mouthpiece has a buildup of moisture inside of it from playing the horn, and we start by using a pipe stem cleaner to dry out the inside, and we use our polishing cloth to dry off the mouthpiece on the outside. A low brass instrument will have a substantial buildup of moisture inside the horn while playing. It's a good idea to open your water keys and drain this excess moisture out before putting the horn away in the case. Our last step is to wipe our fingerprints off the instrument before we put it away. For this, we use our official HornSmasher.com cleaning cloth, and we simply wipe down the large areas of the instrument to remove our fingerprints. Although every low brass instrument is different, every case will have a specific place for the instrument, mouthpiece, and accessories. Well, music lovers, that about wraps it up. This is Horn Smasher John, reminding you that following this daily routine will help you have many years of problem-free service and keep your instruments sounding great. All of the materials used in this video are available in my official HornSmasher.com low brass care kit, available for purchase on this website. See ya!